Hey, you guys, got a new crowd control story for you. This actually happened to me this past Tuesday at Tiki, the place where I usually go to on Tuesday nights. And like I said, if you remember me telling some of my previous stories, I say I always try to get to a club kind of early and make friends with the bouncers, the DJ, the owner, the bartenders. Just make friendly with them and talk to them and treat them like real people because that's who they are. And because then what that will do is it will get you in for free down the road, and it could lead to other connections to get you. Like a lot of owners own a lot of different buildings, not just that one. And I'm sure most of my audience may not be old enough to go out to a bar or a club yet. I'm 21, so with that said, just practice being nice to everyone you come across, and it'll help you out down the road. So, going to Tiki Bob's, I had known a lot of the bouncers by first name, and what I do is I'll show them a trick, I'll ask them their name, and I'll actually plug it into my phone under the Notes app. Just be like, Tiki Bob's, Charles, and then a small description of the guys. So then when I go back to the club, call it cheap or whatever, but when I go back to the club, before I read the guys' names, I'm just like, oh yeah, yep. Hey Charles, how's it going? Hey Harley, how you doing? This and that and the other. So then you can learn the whole staff's name by first name, which will help you out. Anyway, on to the story. So I'm there, and I was showing a few magic tricks to some people, some new faces, and they all loved it and were enjoying it, and it was perfect. And one of the guys' names was Benny, who I was showing a trick to, and he was really nice. He was really friendly, and he had aspirations of like being a talk show host and stuff like that. And he was like, "When I get a talk show, you'll be one of my first guests." And so later in the night, I go outside, and there's a group posse type of, I want to say, 4 to 6 guys hanging around the bench area looking cool. And one of the guys had his back to the club, and Benny is trying to talk to him, and because Benny's a social guy, we're all there to be social and meet with new people. And the guy who has his back to the club just kind of turns over, and his eyes were bloodshot, and I think he was just obliterated drunk, or maybe it was on some kind of drug or something. He was just not in a good state of mind, and he's talking trash to my man Benny and saying just stuff that's so unnecessary. I couldn't hear the conversation that they had, but it was just, I don't know how to describe it. So I go over to Benny, I'm just like, oh man, these guys busting your balls, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, they're giving me a hard time, blah, blah, blah. And the guy who just insulted Benny turns around and he kind of sees me, but his bigger friend, sees that I'm wearing my Johnny Cockstrong shirt. If you guys don't know what shirt that is, I've worn it in previous tutorial. I wore it in the Raven tutorial, and I wore it in the last week's crowd control story. So I'm wearing my Johnny Cockstrong t-shirt, and the big guy's just like, man, that guy sure says Cockstrong on it. That's pretty funny right there. And so the guy turns around, who just gave Benny some slack, and he looks him up, and he looks me up, he looks me down. He's just like, yo man, you gotta get out of here. He's just like, why don't you go home, bring your fat ass home. And I was just like, why the hostility? And before I even said that, actually, he was just like, yo, go home. And so slowly pull out a pack of cards. Thankfully, it was a normal pack of cards. It wasn't the invisible deck. I pull out a pack of cards, take it out of the box, and the guy who first notices the Cockstrong shirt is like, oh man, this guy's a magician. He's about to show some tricks. I bet you that'd be crazy. And so I go to the guy who's like calling us out and talking trash, and I spread the cards to him. And he kind of does this look where I'm looking straight at him, and he kind of like looks over to like a bouncer or someone, which made me look over to what he was looking at. And so when I turned away, he smacked the cards out of my hand. Fell on the ground, splattered all over the ground. I was just like, dude, why the hostility? And so I knelt over to go to pick the cards up, and the dude steps on the cards to prevent me from picking them up. And I was just like, okay, Charles. I know the bouncer's names, first name. I was like, hey, you guys come over here really quick. And then his friends are, oh no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to get the bouncers involved. Don't do that, bro. And I bring him over, and one of the bouncers came nearby, and I just explained to him what happened in like a private kind of I was just talking to him quietly like this, face to face with him, while the crew was over here, and they started picking up my cards at this point, except the Doucher, but his friends were picking up the cards because they didn't want to get thrown out. And so I'm saying to the bouncer, I think this is like, I'm paraphrasing, but I was just like, man, the guy smacked cards on my hand, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't expect you to do anything, and I don't really want you to do anything. I don't expect you or want you to kick them out. I'm just kind of telling you this so they get, like, worried that they might get kicked out, you know? But I'm not really offended or bothered by it. But I just want it to look like something's about to happen, you know what I mean? And he was just like, yeah, I get you. And so I've done that a lot of times. I was dancing. Well, I was on the dance floor one time. Sorry to get off track. But I was on the dance floor at one time, and this girl who I didn't want to dance with asked me to dance with her because my friends were talking to her group of friends earlier in the night. So she asked me to dance with her, and I danced for a little bit, and my friends came nearby, and I went over to them, and I was just like, I'm just telling you stuff to make it look like we're talking and having a conversation, but the real fact is I just don't want to dance with her. So I want you to try to talk back to me so we can have a nice conversation. He's like, yeah, I get you, man. I mean, we were outside, and I know you don't want to dance with that girl, blah, blah. But, so that'll happen a lot, and in my little circle. And, anyway, back to the story. So all his friends are picking up the cards, and then there's one other card left over on the ground. And I was like, hey, will you pick that? I was like, pick that up for me, to the Doucher. And he looks over and he's just like, you pick it up. And I was just like, nah, I think you should pick it up. And I think you should give me an apology. And he didn't give me an apology or whatever, but one of his friends did pick it up. And so then I showed his friends a trick. I think I did here to there first because I knew they were going to be watching me close and trying to catch me because they were already hating on me. So I did that one first, and the guy who smacked the cards out of my hand was screaming, hooting, hollering while I was doing the trick, and he was like walking away and walking back while I was doing it, and he was behind his buddy's shoulders who had his hand. So the guy had his hands here, and the douchebag was behind his shoulder looking over, yelling at me about how, like, this is the oldest trick in the book, he knows how to do it, blah, 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 I suck, this and that. He's like, I'm going to spit in your face right now, I swear I'm going to spit at you. And, so it finally comes to the point where they turn their hands over because it's a quick trick, which was great. It's a great trick. They turn their hands over, and it switches. And then him and his friend, who are all picking up the cards, start freaking out, and they look to the friend who's the douchebag who's yelling. They're just like, dude, never seen that before. How it switched in my hand, dog. And so then I did like 2 more tricks to them, and I got to the point, the hook point that we call it, the hook point where that group of friends would rather interact with you than to interact with like their own friends. They value you. They value you more than their group. So, and I thanked them for picking up my cards for me, and they were just like, yeah, it's his birthday. He's just really drunk right now. We fought a bunch of times. Man, it's already going like 10 minutes long. Um, so I guess the way that I handled that is just stay calm and do what works. Practice loving everyone and accepting whatever happens. Take everything that's thrown your way as a gift. That's something I just learned recently. If it's a challenge or an insult, thank them for it and dynamically thank them for it, and it'll lead you to a greater spiritual and social life, and you'll be more respected for sure. And so by the end of the night, all his friends were like high-fiving me and thanking me for the tricks, and I was thanking them for picking the cards up and this and that and the other. So some news about the tutorial this Wednesday. It's probably because I want you guys to do more than just learn tricks. If you can learn how to be fancy with your hands, what you'll notice a lot is people will come up to you and be like, "Whoa, how'd you?" They recognize, okay, this guy is about to blow my mind or something. So we'll do something where I teach you guys a cut, and it'll probably be this one. And what's nice about it is we got the king of clubs on top, and it's going to look something like this. I'll teach you guys how to do that. What's awesome about it is it's a false cut, so we'll leave your card on top. So I'll break that down for you guys tomorrow. Other than that, this is the new cut that I learned. So, take care, you guys. Hope you enjoyed that story. And feel free to email me at howtodisturb.reality@gmail.com and say, hey, this is from, give me your name and where you're from to start the email off. Because when you guys send me personal messages, they kind of get lost a lot, because I get a lot, and a lot of them are spam, and a lot of them are just their own things. And so it's easier for me to keep file and keep track if you actually send them to my Gmail account. So howtodisturb.reality@gmail.com. So thank you guys very much. And yeah, again, give me your name and where you're from. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Peace.